The Oklahoma City Thunder select Chet Holmgren from Gonzaga University.
What a pass. Giddy underneath for JRE. The reverse and the rookie-to-rookie action. SGA defended closely by Westbrook. Tough. Step back. Gets up the shot. Banks it in for the lead.
This is Udart. You're listening to the Uncontested.
What is up, and welcome to the Uncontested podcast, coming to you live Sunday, October 16th, the final Sunday show before the NBA regular season begins. Ladies and gentlemen, we have made it. We are part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network, the official podcast of dailythunder.com. I'm your host for the evening, Jacob Niffen. I've got my guy, JD Silva, with me.
Fellas.
We've got the OKC tracker himself, Justin Peabody.
Hello, everybody.
And Tayler Peterson joins the crew.
Love-hate relationship with the game of football this weekend between the Sooners. TU was on a bye week, thankfully, and then the Chiefs earlier today. But you know what? None of that matters because at the end of the day, Thunder basketball and basketball is my very favorite. So here we are, guys. About a week away from the first game.
Less
Can't
than.
wait.
Less
than.
Taylor.
Less than.
Wednesday, baby. Hey, before we dive into our season preview podcast, we've got you guys covered today, talking OKC Thunder, the NBA in general. We've got some news and notes to hit. Before we do all of that, though, some big uncontested announcements I want to let you guys know about. First off, at the time of this recording, we are 6 days away from the second annual Uncontested Watch Party live at Prairie in downtown Oklahoma City. Make sure that you come out and hang out with us Saturday night. It's going to be a blast. The Oklahoma City Thunder are playing the Denver Nuggets that night. Tips at 8 p.m. Central. So make your way out to Prairie in OKC. We're going to have $1 off full pour beers, $10 wings and fries special from the next door neighbor to Prairie, Hot Chopsticks. We're going to have uncontested stickers, giveaways. We'll have the hats there. Hats are still $35. I'm down to like 6 left. So as long as they don't get bought this week, they will be at the watch party. We'll probably do a little, you buy a hat, we buy you a beer type of thing. You know,
Nice.
we may have a little giveaway like that.
Little Presty trade.
Yeah, exactly. All 4 of us will be at the watch party. Some of the guys from Daily Thunder will be at the watch party. So come hang, enjoy your time, watch the Thunder take on Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets, who are currently 0-1 against the Oklahoma City Thunder in the year of our Lord 2022. It's going to be a blast. Also, we still have mentioning hats, uncontested hats still available. I just said I got like 6 left. JD's got his, Justin's got his. I've got mine on right now. They're awesome.
I'll meet
hats.
up with Jacob eventually, either this
The
week or
watch
next
party.
week. Next week for sure I will.
Yeah, the watch party.
And Clippers game.
Yeah, that is very true. We'll get Taylor his hat. So if you'd like a hat, get in our DMs. Hit us up. We will get you one. Also, go drop a 5-star rating on the podcast wherever you download your pods. Take a screenshot of it. DM that to us. We'll send you some uncontested stickers. Make sure it is a 5-star rating and not the Mavs fan for life who left a 1-star rating.
Because I put lose in parentheses.
He was upset we didn't talk enough about the Mavericks on the Uncontested Oklahoma City Thunder podcast.
I think we should pull that into a graphic or something of like Mavericks fans' least favorite Thunder pod.
Hey, I'm into it, man.
We should
Hey, he left us a voice review also.
This is some bullshit. Well played.
Thank you.
Beautiful. JD can't click the watch party picture for me, but dadgummit, he's got the sounders on keel.
I was waiting and wondering, like, should I press this? Should I not press this?
I did it for you 2 weeks
Hovering
ago.
over the
I was
button.
like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna go ahead
I
and
was
do
like,
this.
this
I'm
is
not
what
sure
me
if
to
was
do
about
this?
to.
Oh my goodness. All right, gentlemen. I think that's all the news and notes. Besides, we've already been in season schedule for the podcast, but if you're new here, every Sunday, 9 p.m., the weekly roundup show. We come together, talk big picture OKC Thunder. We talk the NBA, all across the league. And then post-game podcasts, little 25, 30-minute hitters after Excuse me.
Wow.
After every OKC Thunder game, Wednesday night, we have Nick Crane covering the season opener. Saturday, we'll all be at the watch party. We'll record live together after the watch party. And then Sunday, the Thunder take on, I think, the Timberwolves again Sunday night for the home opener at the Paycom Center. And then we will do a Sunday night live show, a big show that night. That's what you have to look forward to from us this coming week. Gentlemen, let's talk some basketball.
Yes. Finally.
Finally. Some news and notes from Thunderland. Let's start with the big one that I don't think any of us expected. The Thunder have signed a new player to a multi-year deal. One Isaiah Joe from, that's his name, right? Isaiah Joe?
Isaiah
I
Joe.
screwed that up, did I?
No.
Okay. I was just
Come
making
on.
sure. I got some weird looks from you guys.
You crushed it.
Jeez.
No, I'm looking
Isaiah
down,
Joe from the
getting my notes
Philadelphia
together.
76ers. He's a 2020 draftee. The Sixers cut him primarily just because depth issues at Philly. He's buried. Thunder pick him up, sign him to a multi-year deal. Another guy on a contract. We're assuming the Thunder are going to cut all four of the guys they got in the Houston Rockets trade. Touch on that in a second. But initial thoughts, the Oklahoma City Thunder picking up another guard, 6'4", 175, a little on the lean side is Isaiah Joe. People like to call him ISO Joe. I love it. Little Joe Johnson reference there.
Yes.
Shooter. Absolute shooter. What are your guys' thoughts?
Didn't he light up the Thunder last season, or am I misremembering?
I think he gave us buckets in Utah Summer League.
Yeah, I was going to say Summer League.
That's maybe what I'm thinking of.
Mhm.
Okay.
Still, honorary member of the all Thunder killer NBA team.
Yes. Yes. I think it's interesting. My last post-game pod that I did, I talked a little bit about like, hey, is David Nwaba going to stick? Because he was the only guy that got minutes, and surprise, they're all gone now. Everyone that was a part of that Thunder Rockets trade has now been let go, which is just incredible tradesmanship if you're into that kind of thing. But I think, Isaiah Joe, the biggest thing was like, I saw 34.9% of his threes. Not a stellar number. He can, like you said, he can get you buckets, but not a great percentage. I think you'd like to see it be a little bit higher. I don't know. Maybe the opportunity happens on the Thunder. Maybe he's just like, I really don't know. I don't know exactly what his role on this team is going to look like.
For sure. For the record, friend of the podcast, Harrison Grimm, he covers the 76ers for Liberty Ballers, the SB Nation. Really good dude. Had this to say to me right after that signing happened. He said, Isaiah is an excellent shooter, better than the stats show. His defense is somewhat streaky, but I have confidence that he can be a good guard defender with some playing time and some consistency. He'll be awesome with OKC and an excellent floor spacer for Josh Giddey.
I like that. I like
that
that
comes
a lot.
from a guy who covers the Sixers and the Delaware Bluecoats, which is the 76ers G League affiliate that Isaiah spent a lot of time with.
Yeah. Big shout out to Harrison. I like him a lot. I didn't have the luxury of getting to do a deep dive this weekend on Isaiah Joe, mainly because I was just super busy and I was out of town. However, so I'm glad you provide that context because I think that's important and kind of shows what his potential role could be with this team. In fact, there was two different people. One of them was Nick, our own Nick Crane, and then even somebody separately who, to your point, Jacob DM'd me and kind of said Lindy Waters plus, which is exciting. Obviously, I think they're built differently and would play different roles on the team, but the main thing that they would contribute is that shooting and that spacing, like Jacob alluded to. My first thought wasn't necessarily that, as much as it was something that another Sixers beat writer tweeted out. This is Adam Aronson, a fellow Blue Wire family member. He said, happy for Isaiah, who I still think is an NBA player. Likely not a coincidence that former Sixers scouting director Vince Rosman recently took a major role in OKC's front office. So if you all remember, back in July, the Thunder announced, or technically Woj announced, that Rosman was announced as the executive. Oh, yeah, wait, where's that? A VP of Identification and Intelligence in typical Presti fashion. And so it is interesting. Obviously he was responsible for drafting and scouting Tyrese Maxey, Paul Reed, and then also Isaiah Joe. So that's an interesting connection there that Rosman comes over to the Thunder, was able to convince Presti like, hey, we need this guy more so than keeping that flexibility with that 15th roster spot open. We want this guy on our team. And so there's going to be a roster crunch. That was my second thought. Even when we make these cuts from the Houston trade, I'm curious how he finds or where he finds playing time. Kind of curious your guys' thoughts on that. But obviously, I think very highly of him to bring him in on a multi-year deal.
Yeah, we saw him at Summer League. I remember him pretty vividly at Summer League, just lighting it up one game. His shot looks good, and I think he is a pretty pure shooter. I'm curious to see, like Taylor said, where does he get minutes? Is it
G League?
Yeah, a lot of G League. I assume he's not getting minutes over
he's not getting minutes over Trey Man. They'll find him minutes here and there. He won't be a rotation guy. Yeah. Last thing on Isaiah Joe, and this is strictly for Silva. I'm pulling it up on the stream now. If you're watching the stream, you should definitely sub to the YouTube channel. Closing in on 1K followers, so please go sub to the YouTube page. Silva, here's the basketball reference page. I'd just like you to read Isaiah Joe's nickname, please.
Oh, okay. 1 second. Stroking Joe.
I like the throat clear.
Yeah,
I officially am on the Isaiah Joe fan train. I'm ready. Yep.
Stroking Joe.
Stroking Joe.
That's all I call him. Anytime I see that man, I just say, man, that's Stroking Joe right there.
Stroking it once again.
God bless.
Holy cannoli.
Stroking it from deep.
Come on, man.
Holy cannoli.
Next note, Thunder have to make final roster cuts. Let's hit this one real fast. They're going to cut all 4 Houston guys. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, next. Today, Sunday, Coach Mark Daignault met with the media along with a few players. Coach said Shea participated in all of practice today, which was mainly just scrimmaging. Shea looks great and is on track to play Wednesday night. I was told he's going to be out for a month, folks. Shea playing opening night along with Kenrich Williams. He did say Mike Muscala. Maybe not. That one is still up in the air, although Mike was a participant today. They wanted him to participate and then see how he recovered and how his body responded before they make a determination. Any big thoughts on those guys playing?
Muscala participated as his role with the team this season, which is assistant coach.
I think that's accurate.
Amazing.
Thank God Shea's back.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, I cannot. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
It's going to take a while for them to find a groove. J-Dub said today to the media, this is like his second time playing with Shea.
Yep.
It's going to take some
and
time.
Also said that Shea looked great.
Well, hell yeah. It's probably the best player that J-Dub has literally ever seen in his life.
Or taking the floor with.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yes. I love that. I love that.
I'm very excited. Also curious, and this kind of transitions us eventually when we get into season predictions here, like lineup rotations. Now that Shea is back, like we've talked a lot about this and alluded to it in our post games, like Justin, I know you did as well. J-Dub's minutes and his role with the team. Does he play more of a forward wing role now that SGA is back? Does he still have some primary ball handling duties? It'll be fun to watch. Do they play together? That'd be fun.
I hope so. I'm very excited to. That's really like all through this stretch of exhibition basketball. That's all I've been wanting to see. Is like these guys look fun. What do you do with SGA on the court? Because I think it makes things so much more fun. Sure, an adjustment period, absolutely, but like Shea makes everyone better. And so we've seen J Will without Shea. We've seen like new and improved Trey Man without Shea. I'm ready to see those things with Shea. And that knowing that that's like actually coming is very, very exciting. Despite what NBA Twitter rumors and conspiracy theorists will have you believe about Shea's injuries.
Hey, all I know is first name lots of numbers has been tweeting at me a lot about OKC Thunder injuries. Yeah. So has 60 follower New York Knicks blogger. So
Knicks fan for life.
Who offered to come on to the podcast.
I
So
bet.
maybe we'll reach out,
Yeah, maybe.
ask him how the past 3 decades of Knicks basketball has been going.
Careful, we just got another 1-star review.
Answer
Nats
shitty.
fan for life and Knicks fan for life.
Last note. Tomorrow, Monday, most people who download the pod and don't watch live, you're listening on Monday. Monday is the deadline for rookie extensions for 2019 draftees. Only one on the team for the Thunder is Darius Baisley. Quick one-word answer. Want to make sure Taylor heard the one-word part. Does Bays get an extension tomorrow? Yes or no, Justin?
No.
Taylor?
What constitutes as one word? Think about one word. I'm just kidding.
Boo.
No, I don't think so. It would have already happened. So
JD?
No.
I think we're all in agreement. Baisley probably is not seeing an extension get inked tomorrow, which means he will go into the final year of his rookie scale deal as he's barreling towards restricted free agency.
Yep.
Harold agrees with us. No.
Do you see his Memphis Grizzlies counterpart bagged an extension today?
Yeah,
Oh,
4-year,
yeah.
50-something million for
Yeah.
Brandon Clark, the guy that the Thunder traded away
Yep.
for Darius Baisley.
Classic.
Interesting. All right, folks. Thunder season preview time. JD and I.
Here we go again.
JD and I, putting together the outline for the pod today, debated on how we wanted to do this. I think the cleanest way, we have 5 big questions for the Oklahoma City Thunder season. This is our 5 questions. Will cover our entire previews, predictions, and what we see coming for the Oklahoma City Thunder this season. Let's dive right into them. Question number 1. How many games will the Oklahoma City Thunder win? The Vegas over-under is at 23.5. Justin, we're going to start with you here. How many games does the Oklahoma City Thunder win this season?
That's so much pressure. The answer is 27. They're going to win 27 games this season. If I were betting in Vegas, I'd take the over. I would not, however, bet on this team because there are better choices available. But you look at the last couple of years, 22 wins in the 2020 season, 24 last season, 27 feels like another appropriate jump. I can already feel Thunder Twitter seething at the sound of 27 wins. I think their ceiling is much higher. I think their potential is much higher. I don't know that they reached that this season for many, many, many reasons. I think that, the Thunder are going to be doing some stuff, some Wembanyama-ing towards the end of the season because they'd be stupid not to.
Scooting towards the bottom, baby.
You can count on injuries, like actual ones, not fake Sam Presti conspiracy ones. Like people are going to get hurt. So yes, this team plays 82 games fully uninjured. They could be great. 35 games. I don't know, but they're not going to. Someone's going to get hurt. We've already seen it with Chet. Like things don't go perfectly. And so they're going to get hurt. And then the third piece is we know how this team is constructed. They don't have a center. That's going to lose you a lot of games by default. No matter how good or how talented the pieces on this team are, they don't have a center. And there's a lot of teams that can take advantage of that fact and beat you. And the Thunder are going to pull off some stupid wins over people they shouldn't beat, but they're also going to lose a lot of games because of how this team's constructed by no fault of the talent on this roster. So I'm going at 27 wins.
Taylor?
I don't necessarily disagree with the points Justin made. I think that's accurate. And even to add on to that, you think about the youth on this team, how much young guys, the second youngest team in NBA history, as the Thunder broadcast loves to point out every single chance they get, only followed by the youngest team in NBA history, which was last season, right? So all those lead to losses. However, there is a lot of talent on this team. I've kind of alluded to this as well, and some of the post games, even the off-season podcast we've done. But you think about some of the end of the bench guys, like the guys we will be seeing in a quote unquote tank time at the end of the season, if that does indeed happen, which we think it will. They're much better players. Their players were more invested in. The organization is more invested in, I think, than in previous years where you bring up, no offense, but Xavier Simpsons and, et cetera, et cetera. It's going to be a little different this season. So I went back and looked at the standings last year. I specifically looked at the play-in cutoff. You have the Lakers at 11 with 33 wins. Lakers. A lot to say there. You have the Kangs at 30 wins and the Trailblazers at 27 before you finally get to the Thunder and Rockets. So I counted how many teams I thought were going to be worse than the Thunder this season. I personally think the Rockets, this is an unpopular opinion in NBA media, I think the Rockets will be worse. I think the Spurs will be worse. I think the Jazz will be worse. That already is 2 more teams than last season that I think the Thunder will be better than. That would put them kind of in that king spot at 12, which is 30 wins. So that's why I'm going with that 30 win mark combined with, I just think they have better players from top to bottom, 1 through quite literally 15. We'll get into detail some later when we do some bold predictions. All those reasons, I think they'll probably have 30 wins and be in that like kind of that 12th spot, a little better than last season, but not quite ready to make the leap like they will in the coming 2023-24 season.
That was a convincing argument, Taylor.
I rest my case.
Yeah, I will fall right in between both of you at 29 wins. I think 29 to 32 is going to be their range, which is a lot higher than Vegas says, a lot higher than most people think. A big part of that is because I think the Thunder are more of an organized and well-coached team than some of the other teams at the bottom. Like the Rockets, for example, I just think they are kind of a mess. I don't know if they have talented players for sure. Şengün, talented. Jabari Smith, number 2, number 3 pick. Jalen Green's awesome. Beyond that, I don't know what their game plan is night to night. And a lot of places like that, like Utah, I think is going to be really bad. I think teams like the Charlotte Hornets are going to be surprisingly bad. The Wizards, I could very easily see them like just nosediving. Portland is super close to nosediving. I think there are just more teams in that range that could see the opportunity to lose way more games and get an extra bite at the apple, a bite at the Wemby apple. So yeah, 29 wins, I think sounds right. I also don't think at the top of the conferences, like Phoenix won 64 games last year. I don't really see any way a team is winning that many games. Yeah. So at least
certainly not Phoenix.
Certainly not Phoenix. No, I think there's just a lot of parity around the NBA right now. Night to night, games will be more competitive.
That's what's so interesting to me, Sola. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
Like, how does that affect all these teams?
I will be the pessimist of the group. I'm going 25.
Heyo.
One more than last year. I think the team is better than last year by far. I think at the end, they will tank. I think once we get to like a month of the season left, 15 games, 17 games of the season left, you're not going to see Shea. You're not going to see Lou. You're not going to see Josh. You're going to see Isaiah Joe. You're going to see Jay Will. You're going to see some random guys from the G League because that makes sense.
Yep.
Why push to get seed number 12, which doesn't matter, when you could get to the bottom and have better odds?
Yep.
I also just think the West is freaking stacked this year, and it is going to make games harder. The Thunder will be better, but they're playing better teams. You know, the Clippers are better. The Nuggets are better. The Blazers are better. The Kings are better. Minnesota Timberwolves are better. Los Angeles Lakers, who the hell knows? You know, but Zion's back. You know, the Pelicans are unbiasedly better. So I got the Thunder at 25 wins. Let's move on. Let's move on to big question number 2 for the Thunder season. We're going to go in reverse order this time. So, Silva, we're starting with you.
Let's go.
Who starts and who plays for this team? So, starters and then kind of like a depth chart, a NBA rotation.
You want me to go through all of them? Everything?
Let's take everyone and go starters first for everybody.
Okay. Starters. Shea, Dort, Josh Giddey, Alexei Pokusevski, and JRE. Those are my starters.
I've got the same for what it's worth.
Justin,
right?
Do you have the same starting 5?
Yeah, I do.
Yes.
Now, granted, I had, in typical Tayler fashion, I have a disclaimer with that one because I think to end the season, the starters will not be the same. Curious your guys' thoughts.
Totally agree.
I know Jacob's going to agree for sure. Yeah,
they're going to be starting the G League team.
This may be a hot take. I think Baisley starts multiple games before, like in the next month and a half.
I think they're going to keep the starting kind of flexible. I mean,
agreed.
Yeah.
I think their like quote unquote starting 5 is what we just mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be shocked if Baisley starts night 1 against that big front line of Minnesota, or
True.
if they run that final preseason game starting 5 with Jay Will and JRE.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked.
Yep. I agree. I don't think it'll be like, 60-ish games of the same starting lineup. I think it'll be a lot more flexible.
Can we
So
take
do
a
I.
second and fantasize about Rudy Gobert having to guard J-Dub out on the perimeter?
Incredible.
As much
So
as I
much.
hate Rudy Gobert, best sounder we have. So what does the depth look like then, guys? If let's say they have an 11 man rotation, who are the next 6? Let's kind of round robin this. So we're going to kind of draft it here. Justin, who's the
Like it.
next one?
Trey Man. It's got to
What a
be.
man, what a man, what a man. Trey Man, I would agree. Do you think Trey Man is the top bench minutes getter?
Yes. Unequivocally. Yes.
Awesome. Taylor, who's the next guy?
Next guy's got to be J-Dub. I mean, I'm very high on J-Dub. I think obviously based on preseason, I think Daigneault is as well. We got to go J-Dub next. I agree with Justin, and that was first on my list with Trey Man. J-Dub's right on there.
Viagra's going to go out of business with a J-Dub Trey Man backcourt.
Jeez.
Silva, who's next?
Oh boy, Kenny Hustle.
I
Okay.
think that's fair.
I like
that.
it, especially early on. I like that a lot.
Oh
So
yeah.
there's 3. I got the next one.
This is like when Kevin Durant had Harden and Gobert.
You don't
want to
pick this one, Jacob, but you probably need to. It's probably going to be next. But you don't want to take him. I get it.
I think Darius Baisley will be the backup 5.
Yes.
I think he
Agreed.
will strictly be the backup 5. So that's who I'll take at spot number 4. Justin, you got spot number 5.
I want to say Aaron Wiggins,
Me too.
Oh,
but I ain't. I'm going to say Oos.
There you go.
That's
Well
nice.
done. I had that one too.
I like it.
Right there. But yeah, I mean, as much as I love Muscala, I kind of made the joke about the assistant coach role earlier, but I think there's some validity to that. He will have games where he plays quite a bit early on this season, right? When they're trying to win certain games. And, we'll dive into that later. But I think Aaron Wiggins would be the next on my list. Which
So Aaron
leaves
Wiggins will
Silva
be number
with-
6.
Wait, sorry, what?
If you're
Yes.
going, we went
Yeah,
Oos
sorry,
and then
I'm going
Wiggins was 6. So
Yes.
that's all.
Yep.
Totally.
I would love to
And then
see
Muscala.
a bench lineup of Man, Dub, Kenrich, Oos, and I guess Baisley. That doesn't excite me.
Gosh, dude.
Would rather see Muscala. But
Probably so, yes.
Jeez.
But I think Oos has earned minutes, and I think
Yeah.
you need to get him time
Yeah.
against NBA second units.
agree.
I could totally see him doing exactly what we've seen with Trey Man and with Poku, where they get minutes first couple weeks of the season, then ship him to the blue, let him get some good burn with the blue, let him get extended minutes, let him get increased opportunities, and then yank them back up and see what they can do after their little blue adventure. And I could totally see that being the Ousmane Dieng plan for this
was
year.
literally about to say something very similar, Justin, except I just wanted to emphasize that the fact that Presti was able to win something, if you want to call it an argument that he had with the league about the blue getting to play in the Paycom Center still,
Yeah.
not having to play somewhere else. That means we're going to see, like you said, Justin, what JRE and Trey Man
Yep.
both did last season, where we'll see Ousmane, I think, probably in more of a lead playmaking role, on-ball role with the blue.
Yep.
With a very defined role with the Thunder. So we see him play, like you were saying, 30 or so minutes with the blue, 10 minutes with the Thunder that night.
That's fair. I'm going single digits for Ousmane Dieng blue games.
Ooh,
Wow.
spicy. I wish you had that in the Bets podcast.
So this is leaving who out of the rotation? We went with 11 guys. So the guys that are out are Isaiah Joe,
Jay
Mike
Will.
Muscala, Jay Will,
Yep.
and who's the last one? Who's the 15th guy?
Hmm.
Are we missing? Why am I going blank here?
Eugene?
He's
No,
a
he's
two-way.
a two-way.
He's two-way.
Lindy's a two-way.
Lenny's a two-way.
Who is it?
Wow.
I'm going blank too.
Chat, if you have the answer,
How
let us know.
embarrassing. I literally just closed the depth chart
Uh,
window. Hang on.
whoa.
Trey Burke? No, he's gone.
No?
He's going to be
No?
gone.
He'll be waived. He's already waived.
Um,
Wow.
Good God.
Maybe we
Talked
didn't let
about
somebody off.
Kenrich.
Yeah, we mentioned Kenrich.
I don't think we left anyone off.
Maybe.
Oh, he's bad at counting.
Maybe we're just bad at
I
counting.
think, yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
see anybody else.
This makes my
So-
head hurt.
It is what it is. Okay. Big question number 3 for the Oklahoma City Thunder season preview. Taylor, you get to go first on this one. What are the goals for the Oklahoma City Thunder this season? If you had to put a drop of truth serum in Sam Presti's morning latte, and you ask him what are your realistic goals for this team? What do you want to achieve this year? What is it?
Do you want me to rapid fire through 5 or give one with detailed answer?
That's up to you, my guy.
Let's just rapid fire here, and you guys can pick which one you think is most relevant. But I have play as a cohesive unit. Again, no order. Play as a cohesive unit, turn versatility into a strength, keep defensive system intact, and maintain top half defense, ranking most of the season, improve 3-point shooting, and young guys all show improvement. Those are the ones I came up with off the top of my head.
Those are good. Will you
Those
read those
are
one more
good.
time?
Those are really good.
I got a crying baby, so I'll be fast. But play as a cohesive unit, turn versatility into a strength. We know that's a huge thing that Presti's been harping on. Keep defensive system intact, which means maintain a top half defensive ranking most of the season, like last year. Improve 3-point shooting, which we already have seen the preseason being an emphasis on that. And my last one is young guys all show improvement, which is very vague. I understand that,
Yep.
but
Yep.
Hey, for what it's worth, Nate in the chat says the 15th guy is Chet. We suck.
Dude.
Oh.
Yes. Okay.
We
That makes
suck.
me feel better, actually.
Thank you, Kenny.
It was
Thank you,
right
Kenny
in
and
front
Nate.
of us.
Yes, Kenny and Nate both got us covered.
I agree with everything Taylor said. I think the obvious one is just like getting young guys minutes, getting them opportunities, getting them development, getting them on the floor, putting them in situations. Like all those close games the Thunder had last year are so valuable for young guys.
Mhm.
Like the Thunder lost a lot of games, but it wasn't always 72-point blowouts. There was a lot of like late game opportunities, and some of the lineups they ran in those late game, like close game situations were really interesting because you're putting those guys in those like winning basketball moment situations. I think you're going to see a lot more of that this season from OKC as they try to get those young guys experience because of how ridiculously young they are and how many inexperienced prospects they have up and down this roster.
I
The
think,
big one, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, kind of on that same note, keeping their defense. Their defense is a large part in why they were so competitive last year, and that kind of ties in with Taylor's point of turning this versatility, this length into wins and into a strength for the team. I do wonder, like, do you guys think they're a top half? Is top half too insane? They were like 14th for a long time last
They
year.
were 11th for a long stretch last year.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I don't
they
think
could-
that's unrealistic at
I
all.
think they could be one of the best teams as far as like deflections go because of how nuts the wingspan is across
Long boy
the
gang.
lineup. The long
I keep
boy
going
game.
back to that first preseason game against Denver where, I mean, it was just swarming. Like there were arms everywhere. Anytime someone went to the basket, they were surrounded by 3 guys. The rotations were frantic, chaotic.
Yep.
It just felt like they were everywhere on the floor, arms all over the place. I like the defensive one, but mine ties in with Justin's as far as getting young guys minutes. You got to figure out who you got. Like, we talked about Aaron Wiggins a lot, right? He plays really well. We talked about like Trey Mann a lot. We talked about all these young guys. Who steps up and becomes a dude?
Yep.
And who's a guy that whenever you are in like a legitimate game of consequence? I like to think of the game that shut down the NBA, Oklahoma City versus Utah. That was the game for 4th place in the West. That was like a massive showdown before it never happened.
The ultimate game of consequence for both the U.S. and the Thunder.
Basically. But in those types of games, in a game 3, when you're down 2-1, or I guess you're tied up 1-1 in a game 3 in the first round of the Western Conference playoffs. Who's a dude that can go in and just make stuff happen for you? Like, you got to start figuring out who those guys are, because you're not keeping 15 dudes and then bringing another guy in the draft next year and giving all these guys minutes. Like, there is going to be a hierarchy that is formed. I think that's why they brought in Isaiah Joe. Get that competition going. Find out who is better. And for me, that's really the big goal of this season, is figure out who's a dude and who can play, who is part of your future, and who is a fun young guy that you need to start looking to, can we flip him and moving forward?
It's the name of the game is roster exploration, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Presti gave us that term, and that's exactly what it is. It's seeing who you have. It's bringing a lot of people through the system. Like, I think the amount of turnover that the Thunder have had the last few seasons is by design, to get more people in the building, give them time with the team, in the system, with the coaches, practice time, as important as game time for evaluation, and just seeing who's out there. Can you find another diamond in the rough that you can add to this team? I think that's a great point, Jacob. The last thing that I'll add, I think probably one of the biggest things, thinking about the core of this group moving forward, is I think continuing to see what a Shea Giddey backcourt looks like. Like, I think that's one of the big goals for the season, is like, can you crack that nut of what that pairing looks like? How is it most successful? Who's handling the ball more often? What types of sets are you running? What types of situations are you putting the team in that allows both of those guys to flourish on the floor at the same time? It was unfortunate because of injuries last year that we didn't get as much of it as I would have wanted. So I'm hopeful. That's what makes me so excited about Shea coming back, is like, that's what I want to watch. I want to see Shea and Giddey playing off each other, complementing each other, because we've seen a ton of like superstar duo backcourts in the NBA. They can take you places. Look at the Celtics. And so I think if they can figure out how those two fit together, I think that's going to be a very important thing to figure out for this team this year.
Totally agree. Hey, both of you guys mentioned the youngness of this team after the Isaiah Joe signing and the assumed David Nwaba waiving. I tweeted this from the uncontested Twitter account last night. Here are the ages of Oklahoma City: 19, 4 20-year-olds, 3 21-year-olds, a 22-year-old, 3 23-year-olds, 1 24-year-old, then Kenrich Williams at 27, and the old man Mike Muscala at 31.
That's crazy.
That is wild.
13,
So they know Mike be the youngest.
Yeah, 13 of your 15-man roster is 24 or younger.
That's
There's
like a mid-major
excitement.
college basketball team.
100%.
Like,
It is.
that's insane.
It's crazy.
That's a
It's
good
exciting.
plug for Thunder U, Jake.
100%. Get your Thunder U hats, baby. Hit the DMs. Big question for the Thunder season, number 4. Silva, we'll start with you on this one. What roster moves should fans expect? People love this side of the NBA, which is the transactional, the movement, the trades, free agency. It really is what keeps the NBA relevant year round. What do you expect from the Thunder this year?
I will say, unless one of the Thunder's prospects like Poku just comes out and totally tanks, or Trey Mann just starts playing horrible basketball, like with the status quo being what it is, I could see Darius Baisley being traded by the trade deadline for sure. I think for all the reasons we've talked about over the last summer, he's shown what he has shown. And I think that is a guy that doesn't necessarily fit with the vision of this team, from a passing instinct point of view, just fitting into the flow of the offense isn't really something that he does. He's just like a play finisher and a shot blocker. And that's basically it. Everyone should be able to dribble, pass, shoot is the goal. And he can do like 1.5 of those things. So I could see Bays. Bays is the biggest name I could think of that could be traded. Then you can look ahead at guys like, okay, is Kenrich Williams going to get traded? We're going to go through that whole thing again. I'm guessing no, because he's like highly valued. They just extended his contract.
Wants to retire here.
Wants to retire here, of course. Like Mike Muscala just loves being around here. And then everyone else is so young, and like you still have stuff to figure out, stuff to learn about these players. So Baze is the one.
I think that's fair. I think that some of those guys further down the roster, I think could be, I don't want to say expendable, but like, I think you can start to understand what you have with them sooner. If the name of the game is roster exploration, I don't know that some of these guys need to be explored extensively. But I agree with you. I think it's going to be a quieter season. Not that the last season was loud. I think that, that it kind of is what it is with this team. I don't think they're not going to make the splashy trade this season. I don't think. I think that probably, if it's going to happen, comes next season. I don't think this is the year that happens. They're not packaging a bunch of picks to bring in somebody unless asterisk there's like some crazy disgruntled superstar situation and the Thunder feel like the opportunity is there, then sure, go for it. But outside of that happening, which I guess has kind of become standard practice in the NBA, disgruntled superstar demands a trade. I think it'll be relatively quiet, but like, in Aaron Wiggins, to bring his name up, like I think he could be someone that like I could see the Thunder moving on from him potentially. Darius Bazley is the other, but like beyond that, it's a lot of like rookies, second year guys, and guys that you probably feel pretty good about. So there's not a ton of like fluff on this roster. It doesn't feel like.
I think you guys nailed that pretty well. My first bullet point was what Silva really alluded to and hit well in Bazley. And the only thing I would add is something we've talked about for years now on this podcast. I say that, we're on our 5th season, but still, like throughout that period, we've talked about how Presti has very rarely, I won't say always because that's not the case, but very rarely lets players hit restricted free agency without either trading them or negotiating an extension. I think it is worth noting there that Bazley is repped by Clutch, which, nothing against Clutch, but that doesn't necessarily make things easy. So a Bazley trade is something that's definitely on my horizon as well. The other thing, kind of like you were saying, Justin, it's very hard to predict, but it wouldn't just absolutely shock me. We talked about all these different mouths to feed and bringing in Isaiah Joe, for example. How is he going to get minutes with OKC? Well, one way he could is if he proves himself in practice and proves himself when he gets to game time. And some of these guys fall out of the rotation, but are still very promising prospects. As Presti has mentioned, a lot of these guys are going to be NBA players, but they can't all play for the Thunder, basically, to paraphrase what he's told us in some of his interviews or some of his media availability. So all that being said, I would not be shocked to see some sort of, consolidation trade, which opens up minutes for a Ousmane Dieng or maybe even an Isaiah Joe, just to use a recent example. So that would be my other prediction, where we could potentially see roster moves happen. But to Justin's point, it'll probably be relatively quiet again this season until 2023, 2024.
Yeah, you guys have absolutely nailed it. The far and away distance to number one guy to get traded on this team for me is Bazley. And I don't think it's going to be a sexy return. I think it'll be a 2nd-round pick, trade exception type of thing, rights to some guy because you have to trade something of value. And that's not because Bazley is awful. Like I think Bazley has flashes, but to me, the writing is on the wall. No extension unless something happens tomorrow. I don't think it will. No extension. There's a guy behind him who is younger and more skilled, beating on the door for playing time in Ousmane Dieng. Presti does not like restricted free agency and likes extending the life of an asset. A trade does that. You can't tell me that Thunderland pick number 1 and get Victor, or the Thunderland pick number 4 and get Cam Whitmore, or whoever, and they've got this new top 5 pick who you want to immediately get in and play along with Chet Holmgren, and you're ready to sit down and negotiate multi-year with Darius Bazley. Like it just doesn't add up to me. I've been saying this. You guys know this for months now. The Thunder did this with Hamidou Diallo, and it came around Christmas time, and I'm expecting the same thing with Darius Bazley, and I expect it to happen around Christmas time.
Los Angeles Lakers power forward Darius Bazley.
Makes too much sense.
For Russell Westbrook and 2 firsts, right?
Let's go.
No,
Justin
guy on Twitter.
Big question number 5. At the end of the year, what will be our biggest takeaway? So fast forward to April 12th. The Thunder season has ended. What is your big takeaway? When you look at the season, you say, wow, this thing. What is it?
I say, wow, the Thunder got the number 1 pick. No,
we wouldn't be at the lottery.
Yeah, we wouldn't be at the lottery
at that point, buddy.
Well, okay, fine.
Number 1 odds.
You did say April.
Number 1 odds.
Fair. Wow, the Thunder traded for LeBron James? No, I'm kidding. So really, in all actuality,
is there a draft promise for Bronny? Some are saying
we're on the same wavelength, Taylor. Unfortunately. So at the end of the year, the big takeaway is going to be like, dang, this team has a super fun core. And
dang
get
spelled
Chet
Ding.
Dang.
Dieng.
Jang.
Yeah.
God dang. They have Chet Holmgren and a top 4 pick coming in probably. That's where I want to be. I want to be looking at this team, feeling all the tinglies about SGA, about Josh Giddey, about Trey Mann, about Jay Will, etc., so on and so forth. Then you remember they have freaking Chet Holmgren ready to come in and play. Then you see wherever they end up in the lottery odds, like, okay, I feel good about that. You know, maybe they'll make a jump and they'll get Wemby, they'll get Scoot, they'll get whoever. They're going to get somebody of great value to add to this team alongside Chet. And that 2023-24 season is going to be so much fun because whatever this team does this year, you're adding likely 2 top 5 picks, 5-ish, depending on where the season nets out. You're adding 2 top 5 talents to whatever this team is. And I think this team has looked really, 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 really fun in preseason. If that continues through this season, it's going to be a very, very exciting time for Thunder fans come the end of next season.
Summer League next year going to be lit.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, 100%. I can't wait.
Taylor, at April 12th, the season is over. You look back and you say, wow, blank. What is the blank?
So this wouldn't necessarily be the case for the month of April because we all agree that we probably would have transitioned into quote unquote tank mode at that point. But I think, let's just call it the last point the Thunder are playing competitive basketball, that they are trying to win games. I think Trey Mann closes the games while the Thunder are still being competitive. So, for example, the lineup in this instance would probably be Shea, Lou, Giddey, Trey Mann, and one of JRE or Muscala. Maybe Poku. That seems a little too crazy if you're playing Trey at one of those spots. Look, as much as I love J-Dub, and I really do, but man, I think Trey, no pun intended, really has an opportunity here to show what he's capable of. And I think he could be so good during the, like I said, the competitive period of this upcoming season that he ends up closing games for this Thunder team alongside these other ball handlers.
JD?
I'm going to say something similar to what Taylor said, but for another player.
Oh.
And I'll probably guess who it's going to be. It's J-Dub. I think we all start having a conversation at the end of the season. We're going to say something along the lines of, look, it's too early, but I think J-Dub should start next year. We're all going to say something nuts like that. We're going to be like, J-Dub, is this guy to steal the draft? We're all going to be just way too hyped about the guy because he's going to have a great season. He's going to have a bunch of 20-point nights, and it's going to be really exciting.
So my next bullet point was literally J-Dub potential starter, or sorry, J-Dub starter with star potential.
Wow.
I feel like I got to go bold here.
Get spicy.
You guys didn't like you took like rational things.
Well,
I think we're going to get to April 12th. We're going to be in tank mode, but we're going to look back and we're going to say the Thunder had an all-star. And they probably, in the next couple of years, have another backcourt guy who will be an all-star in Josh Giddey because he ended the year shooting 33% from 3 and averaged like 12, 8, and 8. And we're going to say they're about to add Chet Holmgren and another guy to a possible double all-star backcourt in these two dudes. this team is going to get funky fast. Like we're going to have a whole bunch of 6'6" and taller dudes who could all be like all-star potential. So my looking in the rearview mirror is Shea was an all-star, and Josh Giddey is showing like he should probably be in the all-star conversation the coming year.
I love it.
Me too. I like that.
Awesome. So those are our 5 big questions, kind of our preview, our predictions going into the Oklahoma City Thunder season. Once again, those were how many games did the Thunder win? We all kind of fell between 25 and 29 there. Who starts, who plays? We went with Shea, Josh, Lou, Poku, and JRE as the starters, with a plethora of guys coming off the bench, but primarily J-Dub, Trey Mann, Darius Baisley, Kenrich Williams. The goals for the season, we all kind of touched on growth, young guy development, and just figuring out who you got, keeping that defensive tenacity intact. What roster moves do we expect? We all pretty much said Darius Baisley and not much else. And then lastly, our big predictions, which you just listened to. Gentlemen, I am so stoked for OKC Thunder basketball. Wednesday night cannot get here soon enough. But before we end the pod, we got to talk some NBA-wide predictions. Before we do that, Silva, can we tell the people about the advertisers for the week? What's up, Thunder fans? This is Jacob from the Uncontested Podcast, and I'm here to let you know that we have fully redesigned our merch store to get you the best Thunder swag available. Just visit cottonbureau.com and search the Uncontested Podcast to find all of our new designs. That's cottonbureau.com and search the Uncontested Podcast to find new drops like Josh Giddey's Wizard of Oz or an ode to the Trey Mann Step Back. We've also got all the classics like Dortal Combat, Wu-Tang Clan, and everyone's favorite MVP, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. The best part? You can get any design and the style of apparel you want. So if you're gearing up for the summer and want a tank top, needing a hoodie for the winter in Australia, or you're wanting a Pokemon onesie for your baby, we've got you covered. Make sure to go to cottonbureau.com and search the Uncontested Podcast to get your new Thunder gear today. Ladies and gentlemen, before we get out, it's been a while since we've done this drop. It's time to take a trip around the association.
I don't even know where you're sitting at.
I just realized that one of the payoffs for our bets should have been somebody has to recreate that song, and we used that as the drop.
Oh, God.
Incredible.
That would have been perfect. So our league-wide NBA season preview / predictions, we're going with old reliable, folks. An uncontested favorite, a game of take it or leave it. Very simple rules. I'm going to give these guys a statement, and they simply choose. I'm taking it. It's real. Or I'm leaving it. I don't think it's going to happen. We'll roundtable this one as well. I think that's the best way to do this. JD is on the board. JD, take it or leave it. The MVP this season does not come from the Western Conference.
Oh, boy. I'm going to... Oh, God, there's so many names. I'm gonna leave it. So I think it will come from the Western Conference.
Oh, give us a name.
Luka Doncic.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
Yeah,
Me too.
Justin,
What?
what do you think? What do you think of this one? Are you taking it?
I like Luka. That's what I'm thinking.
Oh, okay.
That's exact. I had
Taylor.
a bet.
What?
I had a bet for the bets episode.
Oh, I forgot about that.
That was Luka.
Oh, I did too. That's a good one.
Taylor, who's your MVP?
Oh, who's my MVP? I was just going to say that I would take Luka and Jokic over probably Embiid and Tatum, which is why I would have taken this bet. But if I had to pick an
Giannis.
MVP,
Giannis MVP.
Or sorry, Giannis. Yeah, Giannis Embiid. That's a good one.
Thank you. Very bold.
Very bold.
Next one. Justin, take it or leave it. This is one of my favorite ones. A non-Pacific Division team makes the finals for the West.
This is
for
a
reference,
really good one.
Pacific Division, Lakers, Clippers, Warriors, Kings, Suns. So are you taking it that those 5 teams all missed the finals, or are you leaving it, meaning you want one of those 5?
I mean, now that the Kings are in there, you probably have to leave it, Justin.
I think I'm taking it. And I know what your follow-up question is going to be. And that's
Who?
That's the only hesitation.
Who?
Like, I don't know.
You're going the Timberwolves?
I've got one.
The Nuggets?
The Lakers are a clown fiesta. I don't ever trust Paul George for reasons. The Warriors are fighting each other in practice. The
Quite
Kings are the
literally.
Kings. DeAndre Ayton don't want to be there. So like, I don't.
Before you move on there, did you guys see the tweet that said Jordan Poole walking in the practice facility after extension,
Yes.
and it was playing Many Men by 50 Cent?
It was the Brian Robinson. So
Yeah.
I love that.
what are they now? The Commanders.
Commanders.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a dope intro. You can't get
So,
much cooler than getting
Brian
shot
Robinson gets shot
and then making
comes
your
back
intro.
like, what?
Many Men by
less than
50.
2 months later. Yeah, they played Mini Man.
So
I mean,
good.
I got chills when I watched that. So Josiah Johnson, of course, goes in and plays that and says,
It's Jordan
walking
Poole.
back into the.
Incredible.
So
There's
if
your
you're
team,
gonna
Justin.
if you're gonna make me pick someone, I think I'm gonna say Denver.
That's a good pick.
That's a good
That's
pick.
the one I
Jamal
kinda had in
Murray,
mind.
they feel stable, which none of the Pacific Division teams feel stable. They all feel no, they don't all. A lot of them feel talented, but they don't feel stable. Denver feels stable.
I like it. Taylor, who's your Western Conference Finals pick?
So I would have left this to Justin's point. I actually had the Nuggets, the number one. seed
All right.
in the
We
West.
got 2 Nuggets votes.
But I'm leaving this because I think it's going to be one of the Clippers or the Warriors in the finals.
All right. JD, who's your Western Finals team?
I'm also leaving it and just pile on. I would guess the Nuggets also.
Wow.
Oh wait, sorry. I should have said I'm taking it.
I'm
no,
going
I'm
Dubs. Give me the Dubs again. I don't like them, but I'm
Who
taking them.
takes, who leaves?
They
What if
better
we-
make the finals. They're paying
A
half a
non-Pacific
bill.
team makes the finals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if
Okay,
something
yeah,
crazy happens and the Pelicans make the finals?
That would be crazy.
Crazy.
Taylor, you're up next. Take it or leave it. A 2022, so this last season, All-Star gets traded during the season.
I got my best man on it, Silva.
Yes, I have the list here. It is Kevin Durant, Joel Embiid, John Morant, Jason Tatum, Andrew Wiggins, which is nuts. Trae Young, LaMelo Ball, Devin Booker, Rudy Gobert, Zach LaVine, Chris Middleton, DeJounte Murray, Kat, Draymond, and then let me move to team LeBron. We got LeBron, we got Giannis, Steph, DeMar, DeRozan, Jokic, Jarrett Allen, Jimmy Butler. God, the picture of Jimmy Butler that I have on here is him with no facial hair and the really long hair. It's really
That's
creepy.
awesome.
Luka, Darius Garland, James Harden, Donovan Mitchell, Chris Paul, Fred VanVleet.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I'm taking this one because of the odds, right? Like,
Oh yeah,
And the
I've got to
field.
take that. At least one of these players is getting traded. Now to Justin's previous question, the follow up is going to be who?
Who?
And
I'm the podcast
You're an
owl.
owl.
yeah, who?
Who?
Oh boy, SGA. No, I'm just kidding. That
This
wouldn't
guy.
that wouldn't count anyways because he wasn't a 2022 All Star. He was robbed. Let's just go ahead and low hanging fruit for the sake of the podcast. That's going a little long here. We'll say one of Beal, one of Lillard.
Ooh, I like
A
Okay.
little
Yeah.
spicy.
that's spicy.
that. Justin, you taking this one or leaving it?
I think I'm leaving it.
Okay. Easy enough. JD, what are you doing on this one?
I think I want to take it. I think it's going to be a Bull or Draymond.
Oh, I like that. Actually, like that a lot.
I had, if I take it, I'm going to take it. A Bull either DeMar or Zach.
Yep.
Draymond was the only Raptor on there. Fred VanVleet.
Yep.
There was no
Yes.
Pascal.
Yeah,
Right.
that's a great one.
Pascal
Get-
made an All NBA team, but did not make the All Star
I
team.
feel like
Yeah.
that's an honorable mention.
Give me, throw Fred VanVleet in my bucket as well.
I like
Trade
those. I like those a lot.
Who is next? I believe we are back to JD.
Yep.
I think so.
JD, the East and the West will each have 2 new All-Stars this season. When I say new, I mean they've never been on the All-Star team before. Take it or leave it. Both the East and the West get 2 people who have never been in the All-Star game before into the All-Star game.
Oh, I feel like just playing the odds, I should take it because there's always like injury risk. There's always guys like aging out of it or just they had their one boom season and they're out. Like Andrew Wiggins is not going to make the All-Star team again. I'm going to take it. I know you're going to ask me who, and I don't have. I don't. How about like a Scotty Barnes? That's a little spicy. How about God? Who else would be there? Garland already made it. Donovan Mitchell has already made it.
Going Evan Mobley?
Evan Mobley.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
There you go. There's
wow.
your 2.
That's a good one. That's a really
Who's
good
your
one.
West 2?
Oh boy, Shea.
Yeah.
This
Good one.
guy. Homer.
This is
I
an
know.
easy one for me. Shea, and then
Anthony Edwards.
there you go, buddy.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh my
That's
gosh,
good.
Anthony Edwards wasn't an All-Star. That's crazy.
I know.
I think I agree with that list.
Yeah.
Yeah, no rebuttals here.
That's an easy one.
Agreeable.
Justin,
Mm.
the Pelicans, take it or leave it. The Pelicans finish as a higher seed, so they are better than the Grizzlies and the Mavericks.
Ooh, I like that one.
Me too.
I'm going to. Does it have to be both?
Both.
Both.
It's a firm and.
Yes.
Yes.
Leave it. I
Not
leave it.
and or.
I leave it.
Give me your order for the 3.
I'm going to say Mavericks, Pelicans, Grizzlies.
I would agree.
This Frisco homer.
Listen,
Interesting.
I literally 5 minutes ago said Luka's my MVP.
Fair enough.
I
Hey,
think
Russ
that-
won MVP as a 6th seed.
Okay, and we all know how that turned out.
Can I just say if the Mavericks do that, that is wild because their roster does not look that great compared to the other teams in the West.
Those other 2 specifically.
I agree. I think Memphis is a candidate for regression this
Yes.
season.
Mhm.
I think they're incredibly fun. I don't know that they'll have as good of a record this year. And I don't believe in Zion till I see it. I just can't. And so
Yep.
Sure.
again, Pelicans super fun, lots of fun pieces, but if Zion's not Duke Zion, then they're not getting ahead of him.
Interesting.
Fair. Very
Taylor,
fair.
what do you think on that one?
Oh, I am leaving it because I think the Grizzlies will be above them, but I would have that Mavericks actually last of those 2 teams.
Last.
And Sylvia, you agreed with Justin
So
on his order?
Grizzlies, Pelicans, Mavericks.
I might get wild and take it just because I am afraid what happens to the Mavs if Luka gets hurt. I think that could be like a real plummet down the standings.
It's a
Odds
Spencer
are, though.
Dinwiddie show, baby.
Oh boy.
Give
Yeah.
Christian Wood 40 minutes a game.
Oh wow. Yeah. 6th man, Christian Wood. Right.
Taylor,
Thanks.
take it or leave it. Only one of last year's bottom 3, which was the Houston Rockets, the Orlando Magic, the Detroit Pistons. Only one of those 3 are bottom 3 this year.
Magic, Pistons. What was the other one again? Thunder were
Rockets.
4. Rockets.
Magic, Pistons, Rockets. Only one of those 3 are bottom 3 this year.
Oh, man. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take that because I think the Spurs and the Jazz will take 2 of those spots.
Who will be the third? Which one of the 3 stays?
third will be Houston, and I think Orlando and Detroit are each going to be quite a bit better. I think their appetite for Wembanyama, while obviously still there, they're going to take their chances in the lottery. Won't be nearly, especially in the case of the Pistons. But I think Orlando will fall in that category as well. Like, they're very happy with the young guys they have. and they're kind of ready to move forward a little quicker than maybe OKC is, which personally I think is a mistake. But for that reason, I think those are the two teams that would kind of leapfrog out of the bottom three.
JD.
I'm gonna agree with Taylor and take it and say Houston will be there.
And who are the other two? Are you going Utah, San Antonio?
I might get crazy and say Utah, or I might get crazy and say Spurs, Charlotte.
Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot.
I'm very low on Charlotte.
Me too.
Justin, taking this one or leaving it?
I'm taking it as well. Or wait, no, leaving it.
Okay.
I'm really good at this game. Leaving it. More than one of last year's bottom three teams will be in the bottom three. I think Rockets, and this may be spicy, but I'm going to say Pistons.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
That's fun.
I'm going to take it. I'm going Utah because I think they'll make trades. I'm going Houston because I think they're garbage. Am I putting OKC in the bottom three, folks?
No.
Dude, what?
Don't
I have
say
at
that.
25 wins.
No, that's a fair point.
I don't
But
know.
here's the thing. One rebuttal. I've been using that word more frequently on this podcast than previous ones. It's kind of
word.
weird. Anyways, so if
Don't do
Shea's
that
an
to my
all-star,
butt.
Jacob, that means that the majority, you think Shea's going to be an all-star. I don't necessarily disagree, but that would mean that the majority of those 30 wins would have to come prior to NBA all-star weekend. Because I don't think Shea's
I'm just all over the place, man. I'm hedging my bets. We're gonna have an all-star. We're gonna be bottom three.
Okay, I like the hedge.
I'm all
I
over the
like
place.
hedge.
This
That's
is
fair.
Jacob's
Fair enough.
like
See, I was
wishful
right.
thinking, cherry picking predictions of like everything that could go Jacob's way.
In his
I love
defense, that's pretty much Thunder Twitter these
Yeah.
days is
Amen in
no
the chat
content.
taking shots. I love it. Teo Maladone catching a stray on a Sunday night.
Amen.
Dude.
All right.
Oh, hey.
Last thing, folks.
Oh man.
One big prediction for the NBA. One bold prediction before we get out of here. So will you just play the outro music as we hit these real quick?
Yeah.
Justin, you get the first one.
That's
One
too much
NBA
pressure.
bold prediction. Just give us whatever you got.
I'm gonna say a certain Paul George decides he wants to play on a new team this
Ooh.
season.
I like
I
that.
like that.
Pew, 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 pew. Taylor, what's yours?
Kind of going back to about a minute ago, I said Orlando and Detroit would be out of those bottom three teams because I think they're going to have a better record than the Washington Wizards. Both.
Oh. Shut up,
Silva,
Bradley
what
Beal.
you got?
Memphis will be in the play-in game because I think last year all of their it feels like roster spots 8 to 15 overperformed, and I don't think that's going to happen 2 years in a row. Adios, Memphis.
You remember a handful of years ago when the Clippers and the Rockets played each other at Staples? There was like a fight in the locker room,
Yeah, the
and
tunnel.
like people were the tunnel
Chris
gate,
Paul was leading the tunnel
The
team.
secret tunnel.
the secret tunnel. We're gonna get another showdown. Not in Staples because it's the Crypto Center. So in the crypt, Pat Bev and Russell Westbrook
Dude.
giving the hands.
Oh, God. That would be incredible.
Someone's getting left in the crypt for life.
Hey,
No,
I
no one's
mean,
actually going to die, but we're going to get like a big old Chris Haynes bomb
Beverly,
that
Rockets
those two
Red,
fist
Russ-
fought. Russ had to get a tetanus
Russ
shot
Thunder Blue.
afterwards because Pat Bev bit him. It's going to be wild. That's what I
Great.
got.
Wonderful.
tetanus shot.
And somehow
You guys-
Anthony Davis tore a ligament in the middle of the
Just watching.
Draymond Green was there and punched somebody.
His lower back is sore. We don't know why.
Hey, thank you guys so much for checking out the Uncontested Podcast. We hope you enjoyed our season preview show. Next time we talk to you, the Oklahoma City Thunder will have played their first game of the regular season. I'm personally going 0-1, but we'll see what happens. It's going to be a blast. We cannot wait. Follow us on any social media account. We got Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. Sub to the YouTube channel to catch us live. We're going to be live right after that game Wednesday night We'll be live Saturday right after the watch party. So come hang out at Prairie, spend some time with us. Hit us up if you want a hat or some stickers. Thank you guys so much for an off season that was an absolute blast. I felt like we kept you guys up to date. We had an incredible time going out to Summer League, covering everything for this team for you guys. We're not going anywhere. Stick with us. We will talk to you in a few days. Have a great beginning of your week. And until then, and as always, Thunder up.